but
Homer?
yeah, he was just a cool
Yeah.
guy.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, me and
I haven't
Gabe
got a
popped
whole
in
lot of
for a little
chances to
while.
interact with him. I don't think I've ever gotten to interact with him in person. I would have had fun in having the esoteric conversations with him. That's for sure.
He's a very spiritual dude, and
Yeah.
he has a lot of love. That guy. Plus, he has a tremendous amount of technical Bitcoin knowledge on a very deep level.
Oh yeah, you could tell.
We talked about landing on glaciers and drinking water from cups from the glacier, and we talked about that for a while because we were talking about Alaska and stuff, and it was cool. It was just nice talking to some of these people about just life stuff and getting to know them. I think a lot of people they meet these people at events and they're like, oh, I want to say something about whatever thing, their book or something, and it's sometimes it's just nice to you have a chance now to get to know the person. Just
What do
talk
you
to
mean
them.
by these people?
I don't know, whoever the Bitcoin celebrities, right?
These
The big
people.
names in the Bitcoin space.
Huh?
Dude,
You people.
I know what you're talking about, Jordan. I had a similar thing. I was had an opportunity to talk with Preston Pish for a couple minutes, and we were just, he was just telling me about Army stuff and flying helicopters and doing this and that. And I mean, it was just, and he took a minute and he said, you know what? He's like, man, this is pretty cool because usually, I'm just sitting here, people want to talk about macro and this and that and that. And he's like, I never really get to just talk about veteran shit like this. And so it was just different. It was just a couple guys just bullshitting with each other. And so it was pretty cool to have a conversation with one of those people.
Gabe, now that you're best friends with Preston Pish, you should invite him to our group.
Yeah, when you ask him to come on. Jeez, Gabe.
Yeah, I sent him the link. He should be here any second. So
no. Add him to the Signal. I shouldn't say that, should I? I just blew our OPSEC.
You're talking about spreading the signal.
Just pure signal. The pure signal, man. That's what it's all about.
I meant to the feds that are listening. Fuck you guys.
Note to self.
You have to give him a disclaimer too when you send him the invite. The chat's a little active, so just be aware.
Feel free to put it on mute. Check it every once in a while.
you might get a few messages.
Yo, Nico.
Nico's in there.
Nico's one of my favorite swans. Extremely talented dude.
Well, the Simply crew in general is just my favorite.
And he has what do you call that? He's re-upped the white streak.
Fresh tip.
Yeah, I saw
that. They elevated their game. Now Nathan Fast has got the white streak. It's turning into a thing. They're going to be the fucking Streakers Club pretty soon. Yes. I will autograph whatever you like, bro.
Oh, no.
You get a Sharpie and autograph that part of the hair right there.
Nice. Never wash it again.
Ooh, I don't know about that one, though. Wash it. Wash it, guys.
Really wash it.
Somebody else in the Swan Network ended up getting the highlight. Who
that was Nathan. Nathan.
That's right, it was Nathan.
Yeah. So now there's 3 streakers running around out there with that deal going on.
Is that where they're call themselves, streakers?
That's what I call them.
What else would you call them?
That needs to stick.
There are other private things, but I can't say that on the show.
Nico doesn't think he should be here.
Get back in the
office. I'm in my office. It's fine.
Yeah, he's clearly at work. Where are you, Nico? Jeez.
I'm my boss and Simply. Just to poke the bear a little bit.
Oh man. Get back to work.
Why aren't you
come in on Saturday?
We need you to work a 10-hour shift starting Saturday, fresh, 5 a.m.
Okay.
Those TPS reports.
Why don't you? We're gonna have to have you take your desk and move down to the basement, sub-level 3,
the boiler room.
Yeah.
Did you get the memo when we were doing the show? I'll have it sent back to you.
That would be great.
Oh, we had the wrong email. Sorry.
The with 2 E's, Mike Hobart.
That is a common mistake. Yes.
some of those references for the movie Office Space. If you've never watched it and you're listening to this pod, you really should. You're missing out on one of life's great treasures.
Yes.
Cult classic for sure.
Treasure trove.
Yeah.
I've been
The
thinking
guy
about
on the
that
other
as
side of
well,
the wall, he's one of my favorite characters.
I don't
You're on the
remember that.
Discovery Channel, man.
I believe you get your ass kicked for saying something like that.
That's right. Well, I think this concludes the pre-party part of the show. We're about to get into it. Stand by. That's
You
right.
know, every time I see that intro, when I see Gabe eating the chocolate,
Yeah, dude, I started dying.
It's just so good.
every time.
All
The,
for
be-
you.
the
man.
best part is it's cut off right before he actually gets the spoon. So it's just like yeah, get the man.
He never gets it.
Just come back next week. Dave gets the spoon.
Maybe Gabe gets the chocolate.
Oh man.
Oh, welcome to Bitcoin Veterans, everybody. My name is Shane Hazel. I am joined by Jordan, Mike Hobart, Gabe, and Alex Stanzik. We are Bitcoiners. We are veterans, and it was pointed out to me while we were out at PB this last week that maybe we don't say this enough, but we are here to get guys that are veterans that are thinking about going in on a different mission, on a mission that we were all, I think, innately born with, something that's developed in our hearts, something that we have signed our lives away for at least one time. And that is this idea that you're supposed to be free. You're supposed to own property. You're supposed to have sovereignty over yourself. That liberty is the key that helps the human condition flourish. And that's why we're here. We're shutting down like other apps and everything else right now, trying to
My bad.
our daylight.
That was totally me.
He's just Mr. Important, and opportunity is calling. That's what's
That's right, man. Alex is in high demand. And I think I probably need to heap some praise on Alex here in the very beginning. For those of you guys that don't know, maybe you do, but the Bitcoin Veterans panel at Pacific Bitcoin this last week was I think a giant success. And I think we owe almost damn near 99% of that to Alex for carrying a lot of weight at Swan and helping us get a stage and, getting the message out. That guy does a lot over there. And I think what he does and what he says is taken extremely seriously. And so for him to say, hey, get these guys up on stage and let's give them a platform. Hats off to Alex, man, for all that you do and, everything that you're doing for Bitcoin veterans in this movement. It's absolutely incredible. And to see the outpouring that we had at Pacific Bitcoin for 15 shows in, that's huge, man. Absolutely huge.
Thanks. So appreciate the props. However, that wasn't me pushing to have us on the stage. That actually I got notified about 2 weeks before Pacific Bitcoin. By the way, you guys are doing the Bitcoin Veterans panel. So, go for it. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Nice job anyway, man.
Even Jordan.
yeah, thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Are you sure? You like all of them? I don't think you want this
The
guy.
first thing that went through my head was, I don't know if we have the extra insurance necessary to do this.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Tomer Strolight, who is out there in Twitter Spaces, sending you an invite up here if you'd like to come and hang out, my man. We were actually just singing your praises in the pre-show, talking about what an enlightened, fun soul you are, and really appreciate you.
Shane, you're not supposed to tell him.
Oh, Tomer? Come on. I can't keep it from Tomer. He's got like that Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not a veteran, though. Maybe the
That's
fourth
all right.
ward, but
You're a veteran of Bitcoin.
yeah,
You're a veteran of the fork wars of the the block size wars and all that stuff.
Mhm.
You're
I did write a soldier styled memoir of my experience in the block size war. So if you guys consider that. Yeah.
we're also
Definitely
allowed to
doing
break
it.
our own rules for friends of the show. So
Me and Tomer, by the way,
I'm honored.
this is a closely held secret. Me and Tomer are writing a book. We started it
Oh
a
my
year
God, I
ago.
forgot. Alex. Oh my God, I totally forgot. We took a bit of a break from the first day when we started.
It's been a long break.
We aren't writing it.
Congratulations, you're writing a book.
Oh yeah.
Matthew wrote, like we have somewhere we have a first chapter. This whole past week at Pacific Bitcoin, I started to remember all of these slumbering projects that had started one day and gotten forgotten, and literally 4 or 5 of them have had new life breathed into them, and now it's one more. If you want to keep working on it, Alex.
You heard it here first, folks. They're getting back on the mission.
Yeah. I don't know we've ever been off the mission. It's just that the mission priorities change. The plan never survives contact with the enemy, apparently.
No doubt.
it's a very commissioned officer answer.
Tomer, how are you feeling after being back after Pacific Bitcoin, man? It was a long week, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in one sense, it went by so fast because it was nonstop. Like I hardly slept, and from the moment I woke up to the moment I did fall asleep, it was just action-packed Bitcoiner stuff. So it was really, really fantastic, and I found for me it was a reinvent.
I think we lost Tomer.
Well, Shane, you got to come off mute so we can hear Tomer. There you go.
That's new for me. I was actually clearing my throat. Tomer, I may have muted your last couple sentences there. Sorry, man.
Well, no, I was just saying that it was a reinvigoration, rejuvenation of a lot of the things that make me passionate about being in the Bitcoin community, like what I can contribute to it, and like so many people, I just started so many things over the last couple of years. Some things saw the light of day, and some kind of got forgotten. And it was amazing to interact with so many people who were both interested in seeing these things and also wanted to participate in their reinvigoration. So like today I've been talking to content producers, movie producers, editors, and other people who are helping me get some of these things going again. And that's what this whole week so far has been. I can't even remember. Is today only Wednesday? Or is it Thursday already?
Yeah, it's Wednesday. I had the same feeling.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of stuff that is getting a fresh look, and it's amazing. When you try to do all these things by yourself, you quickly become overwhelmed, or the priorities take charge. But when you can work with other people on things who bring the missing talents that you lack that are actually needed, it makes the lift so much easier. So I'm excited about what might be just 3 days after Pacific Bitcoin, about things that I had been excited about before and forgotten about. And maybe Alex will turn to our book at some point. Who knows?
Well, Tomer, this is Jordan, Operation Libertas. If you ever need help with something and you just need manpower or whatever, like hit us up, and we've got an army of dudes behind us that can help out.
Yeah, for real. Like we
Hell
could
yeah.
I mean,
volunteer manpower at any moment if you need it.
So it's the right kind of power at the right kind of place. But Alex, you provided me with the right spiritual uplift at the very beginning of the Pacific Bitcoin week, and everything else that happened was built on that. So I got what I needed.
Right on.
Well, there's one thing that for those that are watching or listening in the future, like if you guys haven't like had the opportunity to be at a Bitcoin conference when Tomer or any of us now that we've been to conferences in the Bitcoin space, like when people talk about it's exhausting in like the very best way, in the sense of every conversation that you have is high signal, high depth, and high breadth. So like your brain and your mouth are firing at all cylinders like 18 hours a day. It is wildly exhausting. But you like it's like I honestly can't even compare it to getting in a good workout, and that's surprising for me. Because like at the end of the day is like you just get to your hotel room and you're like, oh, I got like 4 hours to sleep, and then I got to get back up and go at it again. It's like, but you're excited for it. It's a whole different kind of feel.
Yeah, I was going to start this show off with the dark side of the world right now, with what was going on, and then kind of lead to the light. But I think we'll maybe sandwich it in a little bit. I think this is a good tease in terms of recapping, a little bit of PB, kind of as a teaser for the end of the show, which I think we're going to need. A lot of times we can get kind of heavy on this show, and I think there's a lot of warrant for that in this world right now. We've got multiple wars on multiple fronts. Obviously, the U.S. is involved in both of them in some shape, in a very big way, actually. I mean, billions and billions and billions of dollars. I would say there's probably manpower involved. This latest explosion in terms of violence over in Israel and Palestine, and I mean, it's now parts of Syria and Jordan, it looks like, and it doesn't look to be getting scaled down in any near time, guys. And kind of wanted to just go around the horn and get some takes, some thoughts so far. I mean, we're probably half a week into this thing already, and it's just been wall-to-wall nonstop coverage. It kind of reminds me of right after 9/11, what was going on. There was this vibration.
Yep.
And it wasn't a good one. There was something's wrong vibration. And I'm really curious to kind of get takes from everybody and have this discussion, because I think it's, as veterans, you guys have seen some things, a lot of things are going on. You've been able to read behind the lines for, a long time. And I think this is a unique, experience and perspective that the world should probably at least take note of prior to kinetic action.
All right. I don't have any proof of this, but I suspect Raytheon and Halliburton had to get them numbers up because they were doing rookie numbers. Had to get them numbers up.
I don't think you're wrong at all. But what I would like to start this conversation with, just so that everyone's kind of thinking about this while we talk about it, however you want. Isn't it interesting how, like, talk of war, talk of anti-Semitism, talk of Islamophobia are all like on the rise right now, and it all seems to be very correlated with the trajectory of the economy and the fact that what it's about to do is tank leading into a presidential election. This war, the takeaway I want people to realize is this conflict has been going on for decades. It didn't start this week. This is not a new thing, but the news coverage of it is amping up because of one event that was horrific, but that they're trying to spin into a bigger thing. This isn't a new conflict, but for a lot of people out there that don't know anything about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, this is day one for them. And we need people to understand that this conflict has been going on for a long time. They're focusing media attention on it now to distract you from, because they want to push you to war, and they think this is people have been learning their lesson about being anti-war and being against it. But they need they need that fear, like Shane kind of was talking about after 9/11, there was a lot of that fear of the uncertainty. They're trying to gin all that up because COVID is no longer working. They need something to distract you with because the economy is shit and is about to get worse, and they don't want you to talk about or think about that.
Okay, if you're a politician and you want a war, how does that happen?
Well, you either wait for or you influence conflict in a region.
Or maybe fund both sides by sending each of them fiat money.
What? No, they don't
Yeah.
do
They
that.
do that.
So there's people who are on different committees that we don't have any oversight of whatsoever. I mean, completely dark money, completely dark communities, and I imagine guys like Lindsey Graham, and I use that term very loosely, guys. The
Lindsay.
you've got guys like that who sit in sealed
Wizards
chambers
like that.
with nothing, with nothing going on. They know what has to happen, and the people who create money out of thin air also have a desire to cover up what's going on in their own industry, right? Like right now, bringing any light to what's going on in the banking industry is suicide for bankers. It's revolution, right? Like that's history is replete with all sorts of examples of where bankers have destroyed a currency, which has destroyed a country and trade and trust. And those people have paid a very ultimate consequence. And right now, this is those guys wagging the dog. You look at 2000, you had the response of 9/11 and 2001. Then you had the meltdown of 2008, which put a Band-Aid on it for a while. Then we had 2019, which we got COVID for. And now, as these contractions are getting tighter and tighter, we're getting more and more conflict to try to, I don't know, spend this money as our greatest export. And what do they know how to do? They know how to funnel it. They know how to wash it. They know how to keep the people in power. They're going to continue to do it again and again and again.
They know how to spool people up and unleash them.
That's it. With the weaponized propaganda press with them, it's toy. Like we're watching the same thing repeat.
Shane, there was one thing I wanted to bring up because you had mentioned like the vibes, right? Like the vibrations that you were talking about. I can't remember if I told you this specifically because I've had pretty esoteric conversations with you individually, but in the 2 weeks leading up to this past weekend, I had like my own kind of personal like just like vibes. Like I was just like something feels weird and I don't know what it is. And
damn, you were saying that right before all this stuff kicked off too.
Yeah, and on I think it was on Friday or Thursday, because I had forgotten. I must have mentioned it in the group chat with all of us. I've forgotten about that. But on like Friday or Thursday of before this past weekend, I had texted one person that I have these kinds of conversations with on a regular basis, and I was like, "Hey, like, are you picking up on this? Like, or do you feel like something funky going on? Just like in the Matrix, I guess you could say it." And she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm picking up on it." And then I'm not kidding you guys, within 4 hours of my having this text message conversation with this individual, I had close to 10 people all reach out to me. And they're just like, "Dude, like something feels weird." And guys, like specifically, this is why I talk about when it comes to like just physical health and working out, like just become more aware, like pay attention to yourself. Like your intuition is not like bullshit. I'm going to tell you that right now. Maybe that's a little esoteric or frou-frou, but you guys can just suck it up.
I love it. Bring more.
Awesome.
But there's like one. I fucking lost my train of thought because there was another reason why, like, as guys, like, because I know guys specifically, we have this kind of like sixth sense. Like when you're in a large group, like if you're at a bar or whatever, you're aware. You can pick up on the vibe when a fight's about to break out because everybody else in like that's around the area that is like the individuals that are giving off like the vibe, whether it's the pheromones or hormones, whatever the fuck you want to call it. People that are pissed off, like I'm sure you guys have noticed in social environments, people that are pissed off are just generally shitty. They tend to bring the whole mood down, right? Like without even like really having to say much. So like when you're in like these environments, like if you're aware, you can pick up when a fight's about to likely break out. And I'm wondering if like just the shit that popped off over this weekend, I'm wondering if it was just giving off such vibes that a bunch of people were picking up on it. Because like there's a lot of coincidences there that I just I can't ignore.
Yeah, and that sort of thing does tend to happen. And I haven't completely formulated my conclusions on it, but I do believe in some sense that there is some type of a universal mind that people are connected into. And when there are those large shifts and those building and potential shifts energy, like you know, an all-out assault on of a kinetic warfare nature. I agree with you, man. I think you can pick up on something like that. And it was weird. And there was something else that, I mean, there was a lot of things in, you know, amongst our own veteran community and our different areas where we chat and communicate with one another. When I remember when going into LA, riding the Uber in that, you all probably remember last week when that national emergency alert came out on everybody's
Yeah.
phones. And to me, and I think that probably a lot of us, you know, when something like that happens, it's like, oh shit, all right, what are they gearing up for here? Why are they testing this now? Because it's not there are no coincidences when it comes to
Yeah.
these types of things. Okay, it's like, all right, start in and for me that was when my ears perked up. Plus you kept throwing stuff out there, Mike, and I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell is Mike talking about? He's like, there's a disturbance in the force, and I'm like, oh shit, what's going, because I know you keep tabs and you pay attention to what's going on. But yeah, when that
What
happened,
do you
it was
know
like,
that I don't know, Mike?
exactly, what's
A
your
Jedi
secret?
doesn't give up all of his secrets.
Oh, thanks. But and that was, to me, that was when it was like, all right. I mean, but plus, you know, just being in LA, you know, I mean, your, you know, senses are heightened anyway. For me anyway, it was like, okay, just pay attention to what the hell's going on. I mean, the place is, you know, it has its own challenges. We'll just leave it at that for now. But I agree with you. And so and I'm also going to go back to what you were talking about, Jordan, that you know, this, and I keep hearing it in the news, and I've been trying not to watch it much because it's all garbage and it's all a smokescreen. But I've seen it more than once. I've seen it several times where they're calling it this, you know, this surprise attack on Israel. And this is read
Bullshit.
read the 1,000-Year War in the Mideast by Richard Maybury. Okay, he's a pre-Bitcoiner. He doesn't know he is yet, but he's on his way. But read that book, 1,000-Year War in the Mideast, and it talks, you know, it's basically what the title sounds like. You know, it goes all the way back to the Crusades and our involvement there, and then their involvement, and it's been going on forever. And it's like you said, Jordan. I mean, for a lot of people, this is day one, but you know, open up a book, do a little bit of research. This has been going on for a long, long time. And I mean, Iran, I mean, they've been in the streets, you know, yelling death to America, death to Israel for a while. And so it shouldn't, if you're paying attention, it's not a surprise. And I believe that there are certain elements that can, I guess, flip the switch on these types of things and set them into motion. Certain operatives that can make these things happen according to their schedule. Maybe, you know, when the economy is doing terrible, or you know, maybe when an election is coming up, where you know current regimes on both sides of the aisle, because you know they're washing each other's hands and other things, but you know, because they're at risk right now, okay, because people are pissed off with the way that things are on both sides. Okay. I mean, they just, you know, kicked out their speaker. They don't know what the hell's going on. You got this freaking Kennedy guy up here raising all kinds of shit, and he just won't go away. And so he's making trouble for everybody. And now they're both afraid, well, he might spoil it for us, or he might spoil it for us. You know, what happens, you know, let's think about a good reason for us to go ahead and, you know, print a few trillion more dollars, cancel the elections for a little while. And what better way to do that than, you know, popping off something overseas and then creating a threat from the millions of illegal immigrants that have come up through the border over the past 3 years. And saying, okay, well, we have an imminent threat here within our country right now. Martial law, elections are canceled.
Oh yeah, there we go.
How many people have seen a tweet or something in the last few days about imagine how many like Palestinian terrorists have come across the border?
A shitload.
Like whether there are or not, like we don't know the Mexicans coming across the border, or the Guatemalans, or the Hondurans. Like, what do you mean? We don't
The Chinese or the Africans.
But that's being said very systematically to make people in America afraid.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh shit, this attack could be here. And like, sure, maybe it could be, but there was no difference really today than there was a year ago. Calling this a surprise attack by Hamas is like saying that the U.S. invasion of Iraq was a surprise. Like, even though we had talked about like trying to start that war since the day after 9/11, like it's not a surprise. They're actively in a conflict. Like, this is not a surprise. If you're surprised, then you don't know what's
Well,
going on.
and you guys think that oil had its massive sell off right before the conflict kicked off, and that's just a coincidence? That
Yeah.
guys, like that shit doesn't just happen on accident.
It's been happening for a long time. And I think,
Yeah.
there's probably maybe some people that are, watching that have, that are new to Bitcoin veterans, and maybe not veterans at all, that don't really have
Trial by fire.
this understanding that we do. Look, I don't think there's probably anybody on this panel or anybody even listening to the show that thinks we're picking sides. And that's the thing is, I think we're all mature enough adults and have seen enough things to understand that there's some really, really bad actors at the top of every organization, state level organization, and then some, NGOs and the rest of these kind of organizations that obviously don't have people's best interest at heart, right? I think we're all adult to sit there and say, listen, there's no good guys out there. If anybody is, pushing this violent narrative that, you got to pick a side, you've got to, pick the Jews, you got to pick the Palestinians, you got to pick the Jordanians or Syrians or whoever it is. It's just such a childish understanding of what war is. It's the most, I think, indoctrinated type of take you could possibly have, to where I've seen this, and this is kind of what disgusts me, is on Twitter you'll see polls like, who are you for? Like, this is a goddamn sports team, for God's sakes. We're talking about kids and women and men, most of them who would rather just go about their lives, in peace and harmony. Having state level bad actors influence their lives, and then trying to divide everybody else through fear, and that's I think that's
blood begets blood. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then I've specifically I can't say that I've seen any of those tweets specifically about Palestinians crossing the American southern border, because I made it a point as soon as I saw that shit was popping off. I was like, well, time to stay off Twitter for a while, because that's all that any of the discussions was just people, like 2 different groups or 3 different groups sometimes, screaming at each other in a spaces. And I'm just like, this is like, I'll put it on for some bullshit background noise, but I don't want to listen to anything that's actually intelligent.
Yeah.
But you go in there, you want to have just because I don't know about you guys, but I enjoy having some time where I just listen to some of those conversations they're having in spaces, because they're really good. A lot of times they're really good conversations. But now this is just completely soaked up the entire Twitter feed. And I'm just like, no, I'm not. I learned my lesson with Ukraine. I got soaked up into that pretty early.
And it's fascinating, though, how easy it is. They can spin everybody up. About whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and it's explicitly clear that nobody learned the lesson from Ukraine.
Right.
Well,
Hell no.
So that was why I'd had the 180-degree approach of you, Mike. I was like, no, I'm going out there and I'm going to start educating. And because the biggest thing to me was to see all the right wingers do a 180 on anti-war and be like, we got to support Israel. And it's like, no, this is the exact same thing as Ukraine and Russia. And it took most of you a year to understand that, because at the beginning they were supporting it too. And then I remember thinking no, this is just the next war that they've tricked you into thinking is worth supporting. So let's break this down. And I didn't have all the facts with Ukraine and Russia. It took me longer to have that counter argument. But with Palestine and Israel, I was like, no, this motherfucking thing's been going on for a while. And I know some of the background to it. Let's start hitting people now with what the truth is, so we don't have to wait a year for them to figure it out. Let's figure it out right now, because as soon as you paint it and be like, dude, this is the same as Ukraine, Russia, they'll be like, if they're willing to think about it, which a lot of them are.
I mean, what if you just for a second reset the game board? Why don't we go back to remembering what the founding fathers of America said? No nation building, no entangling alliances, don't make war on people, trade with everybody. If you need to defend yourself, meaning America, then defend that. But otherwise, what the hell are you doing? And why are you doing it?
It's greed and stupidity. That's what they're doing.
And you know what's crazy, Alex, is that perspective was from the big government guys of the time. That was the Federalists. The anti-federalists didn't want anything to do with that centralization of power. They were like 100% against the Constitution. And so for the centralists, for the Federalists to sit there and say no entangling alliances, trade with everybody, but let's not get into this crap where we're defending other nations and fighting their wars and all that. For that to have gone to where we are now, I mean, that's the power of central banks. That's the power of the money printer to be able to
that's the power of a broken monetary system. This all goes back to fiat, guys.
Yep.
If it wasn't for the dollar, which is backed by nothing, which can be printed by a small group of people at will, none of this would be possible.
And then they created their own backdoor with corporate lobbying.
Yeah, the whole behavioral incentive system is set up in a way where it behooves this military industrial complex to just keep churning. And the guys who own these companies keep making money. And
the next place for them to go is Africa.
Every carrier we build and every Tomahawk missile we fire makes these guys richer. And it makes everybody else in America poorer, basically, because of the Cantillon effect.
And then zoom into the actual conflict when we're pumping in billions, whether it's to one side or the other or both. What incentive does that? So the purpose of war is supposed to be like, we have a conflict that we need to settle it, and we're going to do it until we've depleted our resources or we realize we can't win and we have to sue for peace. And so war is typically very limited, or it's supposed to be. But when both sides have billions on the table to keep it going, there is no incentive to sue for peace. It's not there, because that means getting rid of billions of dollars that are keeping me in power. And that goes both for the Israeli side and the Hamas side, or the PLO, or like throughout Hezbollah. Like, all of them are receiving money from organizations to keep the war going.
Well, and then the best part is now they're trying to blame it on crypto. Yeah. It's like no. Crypto is not the problem. Crypto is not the problem here.
Yeah.
You guys mind if I read a couple of excerpts from this?
Go for it, dude.
Wars Racket by Smedley Butler is what Alex is referring to.
Great.
For those you don't know, Smedley Butler is a celebrated general from the United States Marine Corps. This guy was around a long time ago. 1881 actually is when he was born, but just a couple of quick things here. A racket. This is what he wrote. One of the most celebrated generals in the United States Marine Corps. War is a racket, always has been. It's possibly the oldest, easily most profitable, surely the most vicious. It's the only one international in scope. It's the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. A racket is best described, I believe, as something that is not what it seems to the majority of the people. Only a small inside group knows what it's about. It's conducted for the benefit of the very few at the expense of the very many. Out of war, a few people make huge fortunes. Out of war, nations acquire additional territory. If they're victorious, they just take it. What's the bill? The bill renders a horrible accounting. Gravestones, mangled bodies, shattered minds, broken hearts and homes, economic instability, depression, and all its attendant miseries, back-breaking taxation for generations upon generations. Millions and billions of dollars would be piled up by a few. Munitions makers, bankers, shipbuilders, manufacturers, meat packers, speculators. They fare well. Anyway, it's pretty brutal.
Well, and this is part of
reading it.
This is also like part of just what people need to understand with regards to Bitcoin. Because the conversation got brought up by Shinobi and Cafe Bitcoin the other morning of some people have a misunderstanding of there's parts of the community that are claiming that Bitcoin prevents the capability of violence or war. And that's not what these talking points are. The talking point is that Bitcoin removes the incentive or the viability of using violence, particularly war, as a means of benefit, right? because like the whole point of a war is supposed to be that like when like a community agrees that like physical force is necessary in order to get something done. And the whole point to Bitcoin is because of the fact that if it's custodied and used properly, that it's free from seizure, at least willful or unwillful seizure. Like if you're going to fork over your Bitcoin, whether you're a country or an individual, if you have it custodied properly, like you have to be the one to make that decision. It's not that somebody can come up, point a gun to your head, and if you don't give into the fear, then they can pull the trigger and take the money. You can't do that with Bitcoin. It makes war and violence less profitable is the point. And and through that it incentivizes more cooperation and free trade, which like making money crosses all cultural boundaries. So I don't know what you guys have to say about that, but yeah.
I have a different take on that. And that is that I think it makes it over time, if we have hyper Bitcoinization, I think there's a possibility, this is the theory anyway, that it makes it uneconomic for state level warfare because Bitcoin is unconfiscatable. So if you have a hyper Bitcoinization, meaning people are storing the majority of their value in Bitcoin and not other bullshit, not bonds, not stocks, not real estate. And granted, look, there's a lot of people who would hear that and they're like, that ain't ever going to happen. We'll see. I think it'll demonetize a lot of the monetary premium that's currently in these things for other reasons, but that's a completely different discussion. If it occurs, right, where people are storing substantial quantities of value in Bitcoin and Bitcoin is in fact unconfiscatable, that turns the taxation model upside down. If it's unconfiscatable, you can't force people to pay taxes. It becomes voluntary. If it becomes voluntary, how many people are going to agree to fork over resources to fund these wars? How many people do you really think, Americans, like if you went to each individual one, and the IRS just changed the way they operate and said, okay, if you agree with the war in Ukraine, then you pay taxes this year. And if you don't agree, you don't pay taxes. How many people are going to pay taxes? Specifically, if it was really about Ukraine. I'm not saying people who would be like, yeah, I'm just going to do it so I don't have to pay taxes. No, I mean, seriously, if they had to.
They tried this in Denmark with some services and they absolutely got unfunded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the whole
weird
revenue would absolutely fucking collapse.
Well, I would also say the counter, not the counter to your argument, but a counter to that, another point that people would bring up is like, well, what if they just taxed it? Yes, they're not quote unquote forcing you to hand it over, but you do like owe it or you go to jail, like within the current system. There's still a benefit in the fact that they actually would have to increase taxes as opposed to now where you're not going to get reelected if you increase taxes. And so what they do is they just print the money anyway, which is the equivalent of it, but people don't understand it. So even if they were still to take your Bitcoin through the normal taxation process of like, we're going to put you in jail or pay,
they can't
even no, I agree with you, but I'm just saying like a counterpoint to that would be even if
scenario.
But even if they did, people still aren't going to support that system for the simple fact that you would actually have to raise taxes. You couldn't just print it. And so that alone would not be a winning move politically because people aren't going to support the raise in taxes.
I don't think the mass taxation thing is a realistic scenario because I'm talking about if you have hyper Bitcoinization, right? Because if the only way you can get it is at the end of a gun, and even at the end of a gun, people can say no.
Yeah.
Like people may not realize this, but with Bitcoin, you actually have to cooperate for them to get the Bitcoin if you protect it correctly with self-custody and cold storage, right?
Exactly.
So if that is the case, what are they going to do? Like they just hired 89 or whatever the number, 89,000 IRS agents. What are they going to do? How many taxpayers are there? 150 million, 200 million in America alone. How many IRS agents do you need to go door to door threatening people with a gun? And then how many Americans are going to be like, yeah, screw you.
Yeah.
Then how many of those IRS agents are you gonna have to replace because they got
Oh,
popped?
because that's where we end that
Easy.
part.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, be careful. We're already
Tread
falling
lightly.
from the
I
fucking
said
platform.
popped, guys. The algorithms aren't that smart.
Yeah. You know, this whole thing, I mean, there's some examples that are actually coming out of a country that has implemented Bitcoin. That's El Salvador, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but I found it quite hilarious and very entertaining that when the government needs money in El Salvador, one of the things that they're doing is they're taking to the propaganda machines that that we know as mainstream, and they're shaming large companies into paying more tax. They just go on there and they're saying, "Hey, this is what they've paid. We've asked, multiple times for this kind of thing, and now basically it's just public shaming in terms of taxes." And at some point, there's going to be some people that are like, "I'll take the public shame. I don't give a damn either way, as long as I can get my goods to market and we're having peaceful exchange." I think that's up and up on a Bitcoin standard.
When you want to see a woke company literally put their money where their mouth is or not do it, publicly shame them for not doing it, and then see what they're going to do when they don't have a
sure Bill
money for
Gates and Microsoft.
Yeah. Let's see what you do when it's other people's
How
money.
many of you guys drink Bud Light right now?
To be fair, I didn't before because
Yeah.
it's shit.
Man, it's
That's the hard
garbage.
part.
So if you didn't know it was already gay, then you're just dumb.
Just keep on drinking it. It's too
I just
late.
pissed
for you.
off a lot of people. I don't care.
Probably don't really want them here anyway.
If you're listening to this show, it's because you have thick skin anyway.
Yeah,
Exactly.
some of those Bud Light drinkers are out there just giving their finger. This is the cheapest beer around right now. It's cheaper than PBR, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Fuck Jordan, the guy's dead to me. Yeah, well, fuck you too, Wade.
Dude, it's hilarious. So I swung through Sturgis this year during Sturgis, which for people who don't know what Sturgis is, it's like a once a year event where lots of Harley riders, thousands and thousands, maybe tens of, I don't know how many, but it's a lot, descend on this one little town called Sturgis, South Dakota. It's a gigantic party for like a week straight, right? And they have all of these roadside bars. Basically, they're just open parking lots where you can roll in with your bike, and just everybody's drinking and having a great time, right? Place is absolutely packed except for the Bud Light bar. The Bud Light bar, and the whole fucking thing is empty. There's nobody in there, and there's dudes standing there ready to serve, and nobody's there.
That's awesome. Like, for a place that I imagine, like, you're just looking, it's so crazy there. You're just looking for a place where you can go get a beer, and you still are like, no, I don't need it that bad. I'll wait in line over here.
I'd rather die.
You're not walking up in that crowd. That's for damn sure. They're making.
Well, that's also a real signal, not only to Bud White and InBev, who owns them, but also just like the rest of the general market. It's like everybody was expecting Bud Light to just like do some like clever little like manipulations as far as like their marketing goes, and then they would just like take right off back for 4th of July. But they haven't. That's a really strong signal to the rest of like the general American economy. It's like, hey, quit it with this woke shit, or you're gonna lose a lot of money. And that's your lifeblood as far as a company goes. So like, quit trying to impress upon us like your political ideologies and just do your goddamn job, which is making product.
The problem is they have activist board members.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you bring up a really good point though, man. And I'm gonna bring us back around to what's going on over there in the Middle East right now. And the point is the power that people have over influencing decisions that are made by corporations, the power that we have to crush them. I mean, this is just like people, that normally spend their fiat money on this swill of Bud Light, which has always been garbage. Just my own personal thought. But I mean, it's just, it took a few million people to say, you know what, this, we're done with this. We're not playing your game. Keep this crap out of my face. We're not going to buy your stuff anymore. You're going to become a pariah. And look at what happened to them. Same thing happened with
They
Target.
might as well just sell the company.
Yeah.
No American's ever gonna fucking buy Budweiser again.
No, they're
or,
done.
or Target, right? Like
Yeah.
nobody's
Yeah.
on Target anymore. They've lost
But-
billions.
But look at what happens when people leverage their power. Okay. We have the power to be able to do this. And so, what happens when we have more people that are becoming more powerful by owning more Bitcoin? Okay. And then taking that leverage and then being able to influence the decisions. And I mean, even like literally drive people out of power that are currently in positions by defunding them entirely, by taking away their lifeblood, and then piece by piece dismantling this system in a way that will make it so that war is no longer profitable. And for those that are the ones who are pushing this and driving it, and the MIC's got them in their pocket to remove these people from their power by strangling their lifeblood of their fiat money by transferring our wealth into Bitcoin. And the more people we get, and I believe the term is hyper Bitcoinization, when we reach that point, that is when we have the power. And that is the importance of this. And I'm bringing it back around to veterans too. I mean, that's why it's so important that we get the right people on this mission that have the perspective needed and have that global perspective to have the desire to be on that mission, to make that type of global change and realize the importance of, okay, listen, man, this money that has been discovered, this real money is more than just money. It literally is power. And this is how we drive this peaceful revolution forward, so we can avoid the profits, the need for these individuals to go out here and to profit from these wars that they keep on creating. And again, it's not about, whose side you're on. It's not about picking your fighter, and it's not, who you hope wins on American Idol. And I see these polls too, and I see people, putting different flags in their profiles. It's I don't know, man. Give me a damn break. Because this is the reality. I mean, the reality is violence will exist still. Okay. People are still going to hurt each other. People are still going to be just psychopaths, and they're going to want to hurt other individuals, take what they have and hurt them. But like you said, Alex, state-sponsored warfare is going to be extremely difficult for them to enact without the support of those who have the power, which is going to be, as it should be, the people.
Yeah, loose monetary policy. If you look at history, it's always loose monetary policy. It's the only way to conduct state-level warfare in an extended way. However, I'm going to say one quick thing. Man, I love the way veterans and military guys in general talk. It's just
Fuck yeah.
Triangle right from these motherfuckers.
Oh man, let's point out too the real brave virtue signaling by all these ridiculous fucking companies that are out there in America, and let's just say the West, right? And during Pride Month, and we're just they can't bend over far enough to go out of their way and celebrate something that everybody accepts anyway. Or they weren't doing that prior to 2015. You know where else they're not doing it? They're not doing it in the Middle East. If you look across Arab states in terms of the Middle East, I don't care if it's Mercedes, I don't care if it's any of these organizations. Those organizations don't have anything to say about that in those areas because they're not actually brave. If they were actually brave, right now you'd hear from these guys. You'd hear from these guys at Walmart. You'd hear from them at the major organizations across the West calling for peace. Not sitting there taking a side, not saying anything, but actually coming down on the side of those innocent people that are being affected by this. Figure it the fuck out. Stop doing this kind of stuff. Or, hey man, our organization, maybe we're not going to do business with your organization, or we're not going to donate anything politically to you guys. This is like when you look at who these boards are that we're trying to push everybody into vaccines, into masks, that we're doing all this shit for the state on a fiat standard versus where we are now. Like those cowards across America have absolutely sold out. And I think to Gabe's point, this changes. You go into a Bitcoin standard, and that value, that signal. I know, from being over at in California last week, this whole organization out there was for the little guy. They were for peace. They were for this. And to see how that's going to drive narratives later on, to see how that's going to push people, especially men, to say something, to speak up, whether it's popular or unpopular in those times of when it really matters. I think that's going to be an amazing thing as culture changes around this hyper Bitcoinization.
God
All
damn, I miss talking to you guys. This is fucking good shit.
You got to show up, man.
It's only been a week.
Oh shit.
All right. There's a question from Old Salt in the YouTube chat that I think we should address.
I got it. Let me pull it up here. What is the panel's assessment that the draft will be reactivated, including women? Is that the one, Alex?
That's one.
I think
We
it
had
would
a
be a
whole show
very,
on this.
very, very, very stupid decision. Because, like, regardless of the fact that we have no business being over there anyway, I'm assuming the draft is pertaining to either Ukraine or Israel or both.
Well,
Just
part
look
of
at the look
my-
at the look at the public health problem in the U.S. We would literally be sending obese cattle to slaughter. And the majority of our population is already beholden to pharmaceuticals on a daily basis. So, like, one or two of those makes you undeployable. Both of them together, why don't you just throw them in the freaking slaughterhouse with the pigs and the cattle and save all the time and the money and like the heartbreak.
Down go to YouTube.
Just
you,
for-
you know that one. You know what that makes me think of? You know that one scene in the movie Wall-E where
Yep.
there are two really fat people in there
My
on
all-time favorite movie.
the floaty levitating thing, and they're kind of cruising down the thing, and they're slurping something. Shane, you should get a picture of that and just have it on standby. So anytime this topic comes up, bam,
I'm on it.
going.
Well, and the best part is from say the Wall-E example is that all the people there, they just respond to what they're told on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
blue is the new red. Everybody instantly changes their outfit to be blue.
Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons why Old Salt's asking this question is that recruiting is really bad for the military. We talked about this in a previous episode of Bitcoin veterans. So the military is having a very difficult time maintaining manning strength because most patriotic Americans don't want to join the military.
You know
right
what
now.
they need first? They need a depression. Because that's how they did World War II.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Roaring 20s because the Roaring 20s came from the Federal Reserve. And then you got the Great Depression because of the Roaring 20s. And then what pulled us out of the Great Depression? World War II and sending all of our boys overseas.
Did we do a draft in World War II?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Did-
big time. The biggest draft ever.
Does
Yeah.
anybody know what the numbers were?
Could find out.
It was
My
every
grandfather
like
was drafted, and he was almost 25 years old when he was drafted.
imagine every military aged male just leaving the country to go work for the government overseas.
And not only that, go through the grinder, man. I mean,
10 million.
You look at Vietnam.
Wait, we drafted 10 million people in World
50
War.
million were inducted. 10 million became part of the military.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I think that's something interesting to point out is the add-on question that we have about the including women. I think we should highlight that because during those times women were not subject to the draft, and so we have had a huge shift in our culture in America anyway, where it's all about okay, everybody equal, equal opportunity, all these things. Which okay, great, fine, whatever. And the thing is, that's going to have to include not only okay, I want equal treatment for the good things. I want to be able to compete in whatever sport I want, no matter what gender I am. But also, okay, when it comes time, if there is an imminent threat and, the military doesn't have people signing up, I think it's likely that they would go to the draft. And it really just depends on how far they want to push this war. But it's going to have to be open to everybody because if you want the, I guess the privilege or the benefit or the whatever, then when it's time for people to, okay, we're going to put you in boots, whether you want to be in boots or not, it's going to have to be lottie-dottie, everybody.
Okay, a politically incorrect poll right now. Straight up, how many of you guys think it's a bad idea for women to be in the military?
Bad idea.
It depends on what.
It depends on. It depends on the
I
job.
don't give a damn about their opinions. It's a bad idea.
Mhm.
You guys can, like, you guys are married. You kind of have to, but like I don't give a flying.
Nobody
fuck.
has to do shit. Stop putting that.
Fair. Okay, fair enough. I'm just, I'm catering to the married men here, but the idea of intermixing women into the military specifically for combat roles is a bad idea.
Look at the fucking chat. You've got all these veterans in the chat who are like, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, bad
Maybe
idea.
they-
The only people that think it's a good idea are the women, and the women that have not seen combat or
Well,
had
let
to
me
pick
tell you
up
a
a
quick story.
200-pound man.
This was from a long time ago. Okay, granted, I was in the military a long time ago. However, bro, I was there when they first started introducing women onto U.S. naval warships.
Not a good idea.
Right?
You get pregnant a lot.
Dude,
Yeah, imagine that.
we used to call it the love boat.
Yeah.
All right, because when you get all these women together in a small kind of a ship's a fairly small environment, right? All of their menstrual cycles synchronize.
Yep.
So you have like this 1 week, if you're out to sea, where all of the females simultaneously are on their period, and it's like crazy. It's a crazy environment, right? And then there's this one part of their menstrual cycle where the hormones make them more, what's the word?
Ovulating.
The hormones are more interested in like getting together with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
So you would have this 1 week period of time where it would be like, it's the love boat.
Smells funny in the hallways.
Or down in the lower decks. And to Alex's point, we actually had these thermal devices even back then, and we would we knew what was going on, and it was sometimes very dark down there. So instead of prying, we just got out the technology, and we were like, yep, there. I mean, all at the same time. And maybe this is too much, but there maybe needs to be some levity in this conversation tonight, because war stories are great even if you're not at war. There's one incident where one of my gunnery sergeants had to go sit on mass, and mass basically on ship is you get written up for something, being dumb, whatever it is, UCMJ type of warning. You go sit before a board on ship, and so he sat before this board, and a female sailor had gotten caught servicing some male sailors, a bunch of them, and she was raking in the dollars for it. So instead of just being like, yeah, you know what, I did it, and it was part of my thing, she actually claimed to be a Wiccan, a witch, if you will.
Of course.
In front of the entire board.
No accountability.
And the board is
it's a religious. She's looking for a religious exemption of some sort.
So the board is sitting there going, all right, we obviously we're not witches. We don't understand what you're talking about. They're trying not to crack up because she's been blowing the entire ship, and now she has the honesty and audacity to say, I had to pull the demons out of them. And
oh wow, she's doing a service.
Apparently the mass was concluded for a moment, or at least adjourned, while the guys sent her to the hallway and had a good laugh.
Man, talk about going down with a ship.
People laugh
down on the ship, Gabe. It's going down on the ship.
This is completely common. And to that point, like the idea of having females in the military. Look, there might be some good admin jobs for them. Like, you got to get people paid. But I'll tell you right now, this was not my first experience, because when we were in Iraq the first time in 2003, there was an entire prostitute organization happening inside of the sand bunkers that we had built. And most of those women ended up pregnant and going home, or getting caught with tens of thousands of dollars.
There was back in 2017 when I was mobilizing, there was a unit that got busted with a prostitution ring in Fort Hood before they went overseas. They got reprimanded. by the way, those sergeants that were leading that prostitution ring, they were female. And then they got overseas and joined us, and they did it again. And they got busted.
And they did it again.
A bad idea is a very light statement.
We are
Yeah.
so getting kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
don't care. This is a
And I
great
do just
conversation
wanna
to be had
add-
anyway.
I mean, I think that there could be perhaps an intelligent way to offer opportunities for most people that meet the standard to serve in the military in some capacity or another.
Yeah.
However, I think that in these isolated situations, or especially in combat arms types of in combat
Nice.
arms type of environments where I mean, just think about the male mentality. It's when they're in combat, when they're faced with the potential for death. Okay, they're gonna kill stuff. They're gonna the stuff that they don't kill, they're going to take the spoils of war. There's a highly charged, aggressive environment that's going on there, and it can be dangerous for people. Who may tend to be the recipients of that type of
and-
aggression.
And Gabe, to that point, like we can kind of wrap this back into like some of the woke bullshit that's been going on too. Is like with all like the transitionary stuff over the last couple of years, I've noticed that a lot of women who have seen the testimonials of women that were preparing to transition, and these women talk about how they get exposed to the low level of testosterone that the average male has on a consistent basis. They're like, I had no idea. Like, I'm either pissed off 24/7 or I want to fuck everything. And it's like, welcome to being a man, honey. Like, you have to learn how to just like contain that crap, because like the rage is the worst part, right? Because like I don't know if you guys remember when you were a teenager, like all that fresh testosterone, like the rage is probably the hardest part to control. And
I have
like
no
I think it's specifically hard for women to understand that, is like when you get into like what Gabe's talking about, you get into like the highly charged environments where guys feel like they're literally about to jump out of their own skin because they're so highly charged with either a combination of rage and testosterone or fear. It's like, that's not an environment like you ladies want to be in. Like, that's not an environment that us men want to see you ladies in. Like, it's just a painful reality. Like, I get it. You want to be a part of the fight. You want to be a Valkyrie woman, but
Is that a Boston
Chill.
accent I detect?
Fucking wicked good.
Great bet.
Wicked good.
Gabriel,
Man.
you've been saying
Comment.
wicked good BJ. That is the icing on the cake for this show, man. We've hit the pinnacle. It's all downhill from here.
Oh man.
It's been downhill for a long time, bro.
Yeah.
nah, we're uphill. Everything's great.
Hey,
Everybody wants to be up.
Instead of being down and talking about all this down stuff, I think it's a good time to transition back into Pacific Bitcoin. Where, man, over the course of last week and last weekend, this darkness that was pervading the world, that vibe, Mike, I felt it, man. I know exactly where you were at, and I see it back out here now that I'm away from it. But last week's vibe around all those people, I mean, Jordan, Gabe, Alex, I mean, you guys can attest, like, it was electric. I mean, just supercharged. There's love, this, acceptance, this wanting to learn, these deep conversations, new relationships, networking that was going on. And that, man, you want to talk about power in Bitcoin. The network effect within Bitcoin, from people meeting, people joining, people working together, helping one another, whatever it is, that network effect is palpable. I mean, you can see it going on in real time, and the expressions wash over people. I mean, as soon as they meet, they can have these really amazing conversations, and most of them aren't about Bitcoin whatsoever. It's such a refreshing scene to see.
Yeah.
I just can't believe you guys cheated on me and had Mickey part of the stage. Fucked up, dude.
I felt dirty.
Anybody new to the show is like, Mickey looks different in real life.
Ugh.
It was really good. By the way, I want to say to you
Oh,
guys, you did real well on that panel. I had a lot of feedback from that. That was impactful on people. There were a lot of veterans in that crowd that didn't know what we were doing, and they were like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's
Yeah,
good.
and there was a moment, I think, Alex, when you would asked, whoever's in the crowd, it's like, put up your fist, and there was a bunch of fists up in the air, man. It was pretty cool
It was
to
at
see.
least half the audience.
Yeah, it was
Dang.
awesome. And yeah, I mean, the people that were there was just, I mean, the coolest thing was, I got 3 free bags of coffee. I was like, man, this entire event is a success. I got 3 bags of coffee. Now, I don't know if anybody else had a hard time getting through the airport with that, but they definitely, because it's, in those foil bags, man, they busted my stuff open like crazy. The guy was like,
Like,
mind if I take
what do you
some of
got
this?
in your
It smells
coffee
good."
bag?
Might have like takes.
What's in your coffee bags?
And it's funny, they act like we got to test this to make sure it's not a bomb. And it's like, motherfucker, you're testing it to see if it's weed. I know what you're doing, and it's not weed. So fuck, because as soon as they're like, is this
Because the
coffee? 'Cause
TSA
they
is like,
smell
this is
it.
definitely weed. I'm taking
Well,
it home.
it's
Thank you.
Yeah,
I know it's a common trick for like smuggling is like to
Yeah.
stuff a
Yeah.
bag down into a coffee bag because the smell of the
Dude,
coffee beans will.
Can you imagine how much free weed the TSA agents collect? On
I
a
don't
daily
think they take much. I really don't. I don't
I
think
think there's too many
they're-
like
cameras.
99.9% makes it through.
Yeah, the red
Yeah.
teams, the red teams actually get the really terrible stuff like grenades and bombs and pistols
And
and
kilos of heroin.
yeah.
Well, you know what pisses me off about that whole thing is that I feel it's unconstitutional. Now they've got around it with certain fucking legal loopholes or whatever. I don't care. It's
Thanks a lot,
it's
Obama.
offensive to Americans' personal dignity, and that's the reason I don't like it. And yeah, it's just nonsense. And to me, it's a racket. They're like,
Just
"Hey,
like how we can't bring
we're gonna-
souvenirs back from war.
we're gonna shame you and make you take your fucking shoes off and your clothes off, and we're gonna feel you up in front of all these other people. And the only way around it is, by the way, to pay us $150 or $200 or whatever the fuck it is to get your TSA pre-check every year.
and you still get
$80.
held up.
It's a racket.
Yeah,
You-
and
you
you
can
still get
have-
held up.
You can have clear, you can have pre-check, you can have whatever it is, and they will still randomly select you and then
Dude,
fill you up.
dude, when Jordan told me about his experience, about how he makes it fucking embarrassing for everybody, I do the same thing. I'm like as loud as possible. I'm like, oh yeah, right there, right. Oh yes, right there, a little higher.
Oh, take me on a date first.
Yes!
Damn.
Like just fucking
What's your name?
as weird as possible. Everybody looks at it and like shaking their head like,
Oh
I
man.
get
So
to
the
meet your
ver-
mom now.
So the verbatim wordage was, "Sir, please turn around. We need to do this from behind." And I said, "Thank you. That's my best. That's how I like it." And I just said that nice and loud. That's how I like it.
that's how I like it.
I'm like, why would you word it that way? Is that what the book said? Is that like the policy? Like you have to word it this way, and somebody just put that in to the policy as like a troll?
I hope so.
So, needless to say, we had a good time out of PP.
Mhm.
Mike, wish you were there, man.
Yeah,
Special,
you guys aren't allowed to have fun without me. That's how you do this.
special shout out to Chloe. She made us some amazing shirts. I think Alex and Gabe are actually both rocking them right now. It says "Get on the mission" in the front, and then on the back, it's got Bitcoin beat fiat on the back. It's got a bull, I think. And Chloe came up to me while I was at the booth there, Alex, and I don't think she had found anybody else yet, and she just showed me this shirt and said, "Hey, I'm an Army vet or a vet's kid, and I've been hanging around down in Fort Benning for a long time. Watched your show. You guys really, really have just hit the nail on the head for me. Like I've been looking for a group like this for a long time." And she went so far out of her way to not only design a t-shirt, but actually see it through and then bring it to the West Coast for us. I mean,
It's incredible.
incredible person to be able to do something like that. I mean, almost like if I was a crier, I definitely would have broke down and maybe shed a tear. You guys weren't there to see it, but I was moved to the point where I was like, hey, let me come out from behind here. Let me give you a hug and track her down later to actually get the t-shirt. But what a fantastic organization. And I think to your point, Gabe, earlier, one of the things that I don't think maybe we've even told, this group out here is what fantastic job. The Bitcoin Veterans Group and the things that are going on behind the scenes. Gabe's got Operation Bitcoin, which is kind of a skill share. What we're trying to do is transition guys out of the military and into Bitcoin, give them all sorts of, amazing skills and use some of the fiat madness to help us do that. There's Brave, the post-traumatic stress mission that I'm running. Mike's thinking about Bitcoin veteran security. Jordan's doing a lot with, our production. And then you've got all the guys on the outside that are just, along, and hey, if we're interested in it, let's move something like production.
Yeah, don't forget about Citadel's homeschool guys. Like, there's a lot of dudes who are very serious about helping people basically prepare for resilience. We'll take you out. We'll teach you survival stuff, just all of that.
And this is growing.
Yeah.
It's growing so fast that now we are looking into other ways to channel and organize. And so hats off to this crowd. What an amazing group of people that is coming together, that's I say coalescing, but is just laser focused on this mission. And the fact that you've got guys with skills, the guys that love liberty, they love the idea of America, they love the idea of the Bill of Rights, and just this sovereignty of the individual, coming together with those skills and taking action, which they're great at, and then organizing and holding each other accountable to get it done. Unbelievable group. Thank you guys that are out there for helping us and showing up. And seriously, take a second. Obi, thank you for not only being here, but for showing up out there. Wade was out there, and thanks to Wade and Jordan, I sat down with Jordan, and he pulls out this giant marker and he says, "This is for you." And I was like, "You bastards!" So for making us laugh, Mike and from New Hampshire and the rest of the crew that came down, man, there were so many people we ran into out there that have been part of this since day one, that showed up and have been showing up. Thank you guys a million times.
We gotta give a big shout out to Dr. Nikamoto in the chat.
Yeah,
because he's helping big time with the website stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All of you guys that showed up at Pacific Bitcoin, and you came up and you said hi and you introduced yourselves. It was awesome meeting all of you. Appreciate your support. Appreciate what you guys are doing. Totally full of a bunch of freedom-loving, action-oriented dudes and gals. Let's go, man, on the damn mission. By the way, smash that like button if you enjoy the show. Subscribe and smash the like button. We want to propagate this with the algorithm so we can get this in front of more people, as many as possible.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
And I'm mad at everybody, not just the Bitcoin veterans, all of the Bitcoin veterans, like not just the Bitcoin veterans on stage, but all of you Bitcoin veterans that had fun without me in Pacific Bitcoin. I'm mad at all of
Bro, we actually shouted you out live on the stage of the Bitcoin veterans segment. I mentioned you as one of the founding members of the Bitcoin Veterans podcast, and we all poured a drink out for you.
Drink into our stomachs.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, you wasted good whiskey. Don't tell me that.
No, we didn't miss you that much.
No, yeah. But I think there were some tears that were shed somewhere, probably. But,
maybe.
But yeah, Dr. Nick, yeah, man, killing it with the website design. I want to give a shout out to Jordan too, man, for organizing the peer-to-peer run. It was the first inaugural peer-to-peer run. We ran from Venice Fishing Pier up to the pier in Santa Monica. We had a turnout of a few of us. I think there was a little bit of fear from some folks, and that's cool. But
Gabe was a fucking legend. He turned up in his PT uniform with his safety belt.
You wore the PT. You wore the belt of vulnerability.
Oh, yeah. He had the PT belt with the Bitcoin Veterans logo on it.
Oh yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah, I was ready to pull road guard duty if we needed it, man. So you got to be safe. But
we had to pull him up to fend off a few homeless people here and there. But
we were hurdling over the homeless a little bit, man. It's all right. Not that it's a laughing matter, but it was an interesting run. But man, shout out to Coin Father. Man, I mean, it was about 3 miles, and that man is a trooper. And so, man, it was good. We had a couple of, there you go. Yeah, we had a couple of studs out there doing the thing, and we did it. So that was the first one. Next go around, keep your ears open, and we're gonna get more of us out there. We're gonna keep on doing this thing. So it was a cool challenge, man. Thanks for setting that up.
Yeah,
We
maybe
should
next
do-
time we can do an obstacle course.
You should do 2 levels. Like you should do like a out of shape,
Superstars and broke dicks.
kind of out of shape. And
That's the
getting-
name now. We got to go with it.
Getting in shape level, like, you know, and then you should do like a fucking CrossFit level Murph kind of challenge.
Ooh.
Yeah, one of the guys wanted to stop it at the Venice Beach pull-up bars and do all that stuff, and it was that wasn't gonna happen. So
Well, notice
Well, you can do
like,
a
the
mini
morning
Murph.
of, nobody mentioned
maybe
it.
not
Nobody
full
was
Murph.
like,
we
"Are
ran
gonna
right
do
past
that?"
them.
Yeah, do like a mini Murph, not a full Murph.
Yeah, it's a special invite to Wade and Winston, who are out in the crowd right now on Twitter Spaces. If you guys want to come up, I'm throwing you guys an invite.
By the way, for Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville, we're going to do a range day. We're looking at locations right now. We might actually have to build a range. I don't know where we're at on that, Jordan, but we're trying to find a private property that we can do this on. We're going to have multiple instructors, prior military. Some of these guys are special operations dudes. So we're going to have at least 3 special operations guys there. It's going to be fucking awesome. And we're going to break it into cohorts. So people who are brand new, absolute beginners, don't know much about shooting, we're going to step you through all the fundamentals. And then we're to break out intermediate and more advanced shooters for faster kind of progression stuff. But it's going to be a damn good time. Looking forward to that.
That would be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Not too far away. I think July 7th next year is that time frame.
Oh,
No negligent discharges. Negligent discharge earns you a one-way trip off the range.
Shit coin.
Yeah.
From there on.
Control your discharge.
And you owe a case of beer.
All of the
ooh,
above.
there you go.
And we make
Not
fun of
Bud Light.
And
So,
we publicly humiliate you.
Let's get some highlights, guys, from PB. Like what were the big moments that stood out to you at Pacific Bitcoin?
I think somebody mentioned it earlier with like all the fists going up in the crowd. I couldn't believe how many veterans there were that showed up either because they had already known about us or like just like veterans that were already going, knew nothing about us and saw veterans giving us a speech and were like, I got to show up and see what they're talking about. And so we got to meet a whole lot of people that are already out there, like on missions that I'm really looking forward to working with them, like talking about what they're doing, help support their projects. Like there's a shit. We can basically have commercials right here for veteran Bitcoin companies and like talk about these guys because they're out there already doing great things and spreading the Bitcoin message. And like, look at what the incentives have created. Like we don't need to, we are not even trying to get paid to have like a sponsorship, right? It's just like we could sit here and talk about it. Now, me and Gabe did get some free coffee. I don't know if anybody else got some. So, we're getting a little bit of a kickback here.
Damn, working the system.
You better bring some up.
But, it's things like that we can really start helping the veteran community. But also, like, if we're working with Operation Bitcoin and looking for jobs for guys as they get out, it's like we have contacts with all these different industries. We can help you find a job in the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Yeah, the opportunities for collaborating with one another are just. I mean, that's one thing that I don't know, man. I walked away just kind of. It kind of blew my mind a little bit. That the folks, the veterans that came up to us afterward and just, they were like, man, this is awesome. I mean, how did I miss this? This is so freaking cool. This is the best part of the whole. And, and then, like you said, telling us about their own individual missions and just, hearing about the stuff that they're doing and they want to jump in and they want to be a part of it. And it's like, all right, well, come on, man. Well, let's get you plugged in because, I mean, that's what this group is doing already. I mean, you've got some hard chargers out here that are just, there's so much happening right now in this group of people. And it just, it astonishes me, man, to think about what's going to happen as we continue to grow. because imagine what that force of people looks like and what can be accomplished when we take all that energy out there and we're able to tie it all in together and to channel that into positive ways that are all going to contribute to this mission that we're all on. It's awesome. And so, yeah, I'd say that was a big highlight of the whole event too. That and just, having conversations with people that, that I'm used to seeing on YouTube videos or, seeing on their own productions, and just, sitting to the side with them and just talking to them and, connecting with them, and just, the most humble people, and just connecting with them and hearing their stories and, just getting that different insight with them. It was just awesome. I mean, the event, it was just the way that it's set up is very, if for those that haven't been, it's set up to be very, it's very interpersonal. There's just so much opportunity just to, walk up and talk to people. And I thought it was badass. That and Tip NZ, her performance.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was
it was
epic.
awesome. And I think it's out there on YouTube now, but check
Dude,
it out.
If you looked around the crowd at when Tip NZ did her very first live performance, you look around the crowd at the end, there was a standing ovation. You look around, there's fucking tears streaming down people's face everywhere.
It was powerful.
It was epic.
Hell yeah.
All right, I'm going to share. So I work at Swan, so I have some kind of inside information on feedback because we get a lot of feedback on this kind of stuff, right? And what I'm about to say may sound a little weird, but it's 100% legit. And that is most conferences, industry things where you go to, they're boring as fuck. People hate them. Like you walk around, you go around the booths and you're like, you stand 10 feet back because you don't want these assholes talking to you. You collect all the stupid shit that you end up throwing away at the end of the conference. I mean, it's a complete fucking waste of time. Nobody wants to listen to the speakers. People are looking to watch, like, good fucking God, I can't believe my company sent me here. I can't wait to go home.
My feet hurt.
That's your typical conference in any industry. Pick an industry, right? So here's the difference. Like, to me, the big thing is it's the people. It's the people. I will tell you that we had this feedback from multiple people who basically said, and these are people who are not Bitcoiners. This is like the wife of a Bitcoiner who came to the conference because the husband bugged the fuck out of her to come. Not interested in Bitcoin, right? Multiple examples of people who are not Bitcoiners, but they come to the conference or they come to the festival. They spend a couple of days hanging out with all these people who are super fucking hopeful, super optimistic, and just full of love. And I'm not kidding when I say this. Multiple people said they walked away and it was a spiritual experience for them.
I bet.
No hyperbole. And these are people who are not Bitcoiners. They were like, you know what? I thought Bitcoin was just some fucking investment that my husband or my other person would not shut up about. But I went to this thing and I saw the hearts of the people. And this is why I'm interested in this thing. I don't know what it is. I don't understand Bitcoin yet, but I'll tell you what, I'm interested in hanging out with these people more because they are way more optimistic, way more hopeful, way more positive, and way more full of love than anybody else I know.
So they're actually doing shit.
They're smoking or they're on. I want some of it. I'm coming back to find out more.
Well, and the big thing is that they're having a spiritual experience in an environment that is not perceived to be spiritual, right?
Yeah,
because that's part of the problem is that like the only place that you find spirituality now is either in churches or with the hippies,
and even
right?
then, it's questionable in churches nowadays.
Oh
yeah,
you should definitely be questioning your churches.
Yes,
for sure,
absolutely.
Well, and what is the purpose of spirituality? For most people, it's to find the truth, and I think that humans are innately wired to have that in them, that thing of faith that keeps us going or something. And I think part of that is just we're searching for what the truth is. And when so much of the society is just breaking down and just rotten, to find something that everyone is just trying to talk about the truth and you realize how much all this other bullshit goes away. You're all focused on just trying to fucking learn and get better.
Well, and it's nice to just be, because like I can say, as far as from my like, because literally before I found Bitcoin, I was pretty damn nihilistic, and it's like it is a bit of a, I guess that's probably the most accurate way to describe it. It is a bit of a spiritual thing when you go from being a nihilistic individual or being in a nihilistic position, and then getting around people that are not only optimistic, but they're doing shit about it, which is like really rare in Western society nowadays. Most people are just like, well, I'm nihilistic. I can't do anything about it. So I'm just going to go home, watch Netflix, take a bunch of drugs, and probably just masturbate because I'm alone. Right. Because like that's what the majority of the population is doing, whether it's men or women. Like it's just so like being around Bitcoiners is just like, it is literally the ray of light in the middle of a dark cave.
We got Wade out there in Twitter Spaces, man. If you want to come off of mute and maybe give us your highlight while you were out there, please feel free to do so. I met Wade while we were out there. Just a hysterically funny guy, made me laugh multiple times, busting my balls. And I that's the thing, is like, this is the kind of crowd that I really enjoy. I don't know if Wade can hear me or not, but if he's not going to join in, then we'll just chalk it up. There he go. Oh, he's just switched back to listener. Damn it. Anyway, I guess Mike, I like what you're saying, man. I think I said something similar on the panel. It was one of those things. Oh, Coinfather's going to take his place, I think. So let's add him as a speaker. Coinfather, when you're ready, man, Coinfather, go ahead and come off of mute and share a little bit with us, because you were all over the place. I mean, seeing your big smile, man, it was pretty cool.
I just want to say it was amazing talking to you guys. I got a lot of insight on where I want to go when I get out of the military for my field. So, and it was just amazing to have that one-on-one conversations with a lot of you. I didn't get to talk to Alex much, but maybe next time. He was really busy. But I just want to say it was great. And seriously, if anybody else is thinking about going to PB next year, I highly suggest trying to make that trek out there. It was just amazing. It was not like a typical conference, man. And not once was the price of Bitcoin brought up at all, which was great. And people there is just nothing but love. And met 2 veterans that live 15 miles away down the street. So,
yeah.
God, I love this kind of stuff. Yeah, Coinfather, absolutely awesome to meet you, man. And thanks for coming out, Wade. Actually, Wade's now requested to see if he can straighten his shit out before we wrap this thing up.
Fix your shit, Wade.
God damn it, Wade. What are you doing? Get your life together.
We're replacing Carl with Wade.
Go ahead, Wade. Carl.
There was, like, coming from a guy who's been to a lot of concerts, like all the way back to Woodstock 94, like you always go and there's fights and there's drama, and there was zero toxicity. And I walked out of there so high. I'm still high. And it spread. Like, we had 2 classes since we got back, Bitcoin classes for MPB, and it's like people, they're just asking me questions about what it was like, what it was about. We've got probably 7 or 9 people going from Alaska to Nashville next year already.
Jesus,
people are just excited.
Nice.
So I don't know what it's going to be like in Nashville, but Jordan's going to be there, so we have a place to go have
expect chaos at that point.
But,
we're gonna do a Bitcoin veterans gathering in Nashville, by the way, as well. It'll be just Bitcoin veterans and our families and our crew and whoever we invite, but it'll be our own party, and it's gonna be friggin' awesome,
dude. And I haven't even told like you guys yet what my plans are with that. Like this shit is gonna be awesome.
I can't wait to be surprised.
Dude, yeah. I think I'm gonna even keep you guys under wraps, and I'm gonna be like, look, like you have a free ticket. You're whatever. This is just show up. Just show up.
Yeah,
I'll probably let you in on it at
I'm
some
kind of
point.
scared.
yeah. I'm going to say a little bit of me is doing this right now, but that's all right. Hey, I also work for Swan, guys, and got to have a backstage pass. Let me first of all heap a ton of praise on this crowd. Swan has grown, and it's grown quite a bit over the last year. I think they've doubled in size. I think it was what Corey was saying during our meetup prior to the amount of work, the amount of just absolute grind it out, make stuff happen, the amount of skill and expertise that is brought to bear on Pacific Bitcoin. I've been to multiple Bitcoin conferences now, and I always leave, with a new friend. At least I leave learning something new. This time around, being around the giants, and I've told a lot of people this is, I showed up to Force Reconnaissance a long time ago, and you go from being the stud to just a new guy, an FNG basically. And I'm going to tell you, I felt very much the same way in the presence of these giants that have been there. They've done it. They've got the T-shirt. They've written, the book on what we're doing and are writing the book. They are absolutely, going out of their way to destroy the narrative. Pacific Bitcoin is something special. And I mean that in terms of it is a extremely high level production where at the same time you have access. You have access to some of the greatest minds, the greatest names in Bitcoin. And the best part about it is not so much what's going on stage that you can watch, on YouTube later. It's that network effect in the background. And so first and foremost, my absolute gratitude to everybody at Swan for everything that they do, the energy that they put into it, the sleeplessness, the traveling, the grinding it out, and doing all of the they hate this term in corporate America, unsexy stuff, right? Like if it's not sexy, it doesn't sell. But I'm going to tell you right now, the passion and the love that they do this with each other for everybody else is something to behold. So that's my first praise, and kind of seeing behind the scenes what it is. Let me tell you guys, if you can't get to Bitcoin, if you didn't get to Pacific Bitcoin this year, mark your calendars next year. I don't care if you miss Nashville. I don't care if you miss BitBlock Boom. I don't care if you miss, all these other organizations that are putting on. This is one of the most pure, high-level Bitcoin conferences I've ever been to. The feeling, the activities that are going on all around this event, not to mention the ones that are going on with this event, are next level. And people don't get to see what that is. If you think Bitcoin is what you invest in and what's going to just change culture, show up to one of these. And I guarantee you it will change your perspective, and it will be almost like a pilgrimage that you make once a year. And I'm not saying this in terms of, being religious or spiritual, but I'm talking about a people that need to be together, getting together, networking, changing the world for the better, doing it out of the goodness of their heart without the force and coercion, with the best incentive structure that man's ever known. And I challenge each and every one of you, maybe put away a little bit of coin to do something like this. And for the naysayers that say, this is, the conferences are for the rich people, guess what? A lot of these people who are reinvesting now that have made their money in Bitcoin, that say, hey, I've got enough Bitcoin and now I need to take a lot of that and I need to reinvest it into this industry, into this ecostructure, and into human beings. That's happening, and that's happening at these types of events, and where the signal is strongest, where there's not shitcoinery going on, where they have kept it pure. It is happening at a much greater rate, an exponential, if not parabolic rate. So I definitely encourage you to do those things. And just thanks to the entire team over there for being welcoming, for putting on something that's immensely, something you can be proud of. And I am over the moon to be associated with the people of this organization. It's incredible. So I guess, unless there's any other parting shots, thank you guys for all making that journey. Thanks for everybody in the crowd that's made that journey. Thanks for everybody that's supporting this movement. Everybody out there in Twitter Spaces, YouTube, Facebook, keep recruiting, keep smashing the like button, share this with as many people as possible. That way we can get people that we've been, trying to reach, these veterans that need to remove themselves from the nihilistic perspective to get them on the mission that was the original mission, protecting their fellow Americans, the love for their fellow human beings, the education piece, and just the overall sovereignty piece, that idea that you can own property and nobody in this world has any right to that but you. I mean, that is what Bitcoin Veterans is all about. So go tell a friend, go tell a buddy, bring them to one of these, and then let's get them on the mission as well. I'm tickled to death to be joined again by Jordan, Mike Hobart, Gabe, Alex Stanzik. Thank you, gentlemen, for being the consummate professionals. Go ahead, Mike.
One thing that I want to add on top of that send off that you just gave, guys. I would personally rather see you guys get out there and spread the signal as far as like just waking people up. It like maybe push the Bitcoin stuff to the side a little bit and just get people to realize the games that are being played with regards to these wars. Like, wake them the fuck up to that first. That's probably the most important, especially the friends of yours, friends and family members that are annoyingly engaging in all of like the contributing to the hype and the outrage machine. Because that's like you got to first like expose the game before you can start pulling them over to like the solution, which we know is Bitcoin, but
let's
do
go.
that first.
Shane, I'm fired up, bro. Let's go. Get on.
Let's do it.
Until next week, ladies and gents, Wednesday, there will be a special from this weekend and what's going down. Details will be leaked next week about what that is. I am looking forward to what's about to happen out here on Liberty Bitcoin Mountain. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but it's going to be fucking awesome. You guys are sick. Thank you guys in the audience for everything. Keep spreading the word. Bitcoin Veterans, peace. We're out.
God damn, that was fucking good.
Yeah.
Man, there really is something to like the fucking energy that you get from something like that. Maybe it like taps into like spirituality or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like I would get back to the house and like, go to bed, and I'd get like 4 to 6 hours of like